SDKs and technical support to provide our business partner with complete solution. ZKTeco access control system meets an enormous range of needs, from those of small single sites through to complex multi-site network across the country and even the globe. The research and development team at ZKTeco has over 30 years experience in designing systems to deliver bespoke solution for a full spectrum of access and security requirements. So before I go further, I like to also mention that with me on this training is my HOD, Mr. Joshua, who will be doing this training together. And so he's there to also shed more light in case you have any questions and things that you need clarity about. Mr. Joshua is in our meeting, and then he will be is available to put more light to places that we need clarity. Okay, so these are our standalone devices on access control. So we have our F18, we have F21, and we have F22. We have TF1007, we have SC800, and we have MA300. Then these are our multi-door controllers. Our multi-door controllers, we have Imbao series controllers, and then we have Imbao Pro series controllers. We have our Atlas series controllers, and then we have our DM10 controllers. So by controllers, we mean the devices that you connect our access control accessories to, talking about the software, the hardware, and all other things that enables this access control to work efficiently and effortlessly. This is what we talked about when we looked at our controllers. And then we have Imbao series. So in Imbao series, we have our various Imbao's products, and then these Imbao's mentioned. These Imbao's, please, I'm sorry. So, okay, so this Imbao's, so this Imbao, I'm sorry for that break. So these Imbao's, we have them in different series. We have the 260, 460, and they talked about the numbers of doors that can be connected to them. So we have some that works with 4 doors, we have some that works as with 8 doors and 16 doors. And so the same thing with our Imbao's Pro series and then our Atlas and DM10. We have our FRU ID readers. So by FRU ID readers, we are talking about devices that is our access control products. So for instance, some of our access control products that we use card to access entering or exit. So these are the various card readers that we have for our access control. So we have KROSDP readers, and then these are the various shapes that we can see. We have KROSDP readers, and these are another. These are the various shapes of our card readers that we have. In ZKTeco. So this is another card reader. We have FRU 1005, and we have FRU 1002. Now, this is access control introduction part 2. So the concept access control, you want to ask, what does it really mean? I haven't talked about some of the products that comes around when we talk about our access control. We talked about Imbao, we talked about card readers, we talked about controllers and the host of others. However, we want to know what really does access control mean. So what is access control device? So if this question comes to your mind, this is the answer. In simple terms, the access control device can connect with lock, door sensors, alarm, exit button to control the door opens. So, in layman terms, what we're talking about is that access control give access to entering and exit via the use of door. So for whoever that is coming into your estate, into your room, your office, you can actually control their entry and exit using the access control devices. So this is just a simple term of access control. Now, this is just when we talk about access control, we're looking at the connectivity. Example, of power off and lock type connection. If you look at our diagram as seen on the screen, we have access control standalone device. We have the power supply and we have the electric motorized lock. Okay, so this electric motorized lock is what actually is connected to our door, and then it's also actually connected also to our access control standalone device. Now, looking at this pictorial diagram we have here, we have our access control device which have a 12-volt power supply. So this 12-volt is connected to the power supply, right? The positive power supply, and then on that same device, you see where it is written GND. The GND is connected to the negative power supply. Now below is we are seeing COM, NO, and then NC. NO means normally open and NC means normally closed. So your NO, your COM, is connected to your positive power supply. Then your NC is connected to your positive electric motors lock. That means the lock, what initiates the lock and the open of your door. So the NC is connected to it, and then the negative of that lock is connected to the negative of the power supply. So when we talk about normally open, we're talking about the fact that you set your door to always be open. That is where we have NO, normally opened. And when we have NC, we talked about the fact that the door is always closed, except someone initiates the opening before it can open. As you go on in this training, you begin to understand better what we're talking about. So the working principle, how does this thing actually work? When user verify, device will receive user ID or card number. Then firmware compare to determine if the person has right to open the door during this time period. Device will follow result to unlock the door or to lock the door. In fact, device will check user's authority, then send a signal to relay to turn off the whole circuit, then can the door open. What does this simply mean? We're talking about the fact that when someone wants to access your door or want to access your room or your estate, and like I said earlier, we have our devices using either card, user ID. You can use a user ID. You can also use card number, and you can also and then there are some of them that also use face, depending on the kind of device that you want. We have some that also uses fingerprint. So then, when this person comes near your door, the device that let's say you get F18 or you get our speed face device. Once this device is able to, get this person and verify who the person is, to say that this person have access to come in or to come out of that environment or vicinity, then the door will be open or the door is locked. That's when, is to send signal to the door to open. Let's go on so that you can get the So we have the classification of our access control. Now, our access control, they are all in one access control machine. There are access control terminal on the back of the machine, have access control machine, power supply. So all our access control machine, their power supply is 12 volts. 12 volts. And then the inbuilt parameters of these security access control machines are lock phone on, which is 15, advanced access control. The access rule type equals 1, equal to 1 for security access control, and then equal to 0 for offline access control. And as access control rules, anti-pass back, interlock, and leakage. Okay, so our access control machines, we have access control for facial recognition, and then which example is a multi-bow 700 and multi-bow 800. We have time attendance and access control integrated machine. So this time attendance and access control integrated machines can both work for access control and can also work for access time and attendance. So example of that is our 3.5 inches color screen, which is our iClock 580, iClock 680, iClock 700, iClock 880, iClock 990, and then S900. We also have our 3 inches color screen INO 1A, and then we have our U990C. We also have our 8-inch large color screen, which is iLock 2000, iLock 2005, iLock 2008, and iLock 3008. We have our visible light equipment, and an example of visible light equipment that we have is our 4 inches device, which we have speed phase 4 light. We have 4 inches devices, which is a speed phase VL light and then speed phase V5 light TD and speed phase V5L light TI. We have our 8 inches phase X and phase STD, phase XTI. We have our fingerprint hotel lock, which is a L5000, L7000, and LH5000. So we want to examine each component of this access control system. A complete access control system consists of the following parts. So if you are getting our product, these are the following parts that comes along with it. We have our access control machine. Our access control machine verify and judge the authority of personnel. So example of our access control machine can be our speed phase that was mentioned earlier, can be our F18, can actually be our Proface mask, and every other machine that can verify whoever is coming in and whoever is coming out. So this verification varies. Some uses fingerprint, some uses face, some uses cards, some uses thumbprint, and as the case may be. Then we have our external reader. External reader supports the master-slave connection occasions that need to verify permission for both in and out. Otherwise, you can use the exit switch. We have our exit switch. So, for instance, when you connect our machine, you can have one that gives permission to come in, and then the exit button is that whoever that is going out, we actually press on the button to grant them exit of the enclosure where they found themselves. We have our electric lock. So there are 3 common types of electric lock. We have the cathode lock, we have the electric boat locks, and we have the magnetic locks. So the basic difference between these 3 types of lock is just the shape, really, the shape and mode of connectivity. However, they can basically perform the same function, and then it depends on what you really want to use them for, what you want to achieve, either in your project or in your personal house. We have the door sensor. This door sensor is used to dictate the safety or switch status of the door. We have the alarm. The alarm is used for warning of illegal entry and exit. And then we have the power which provide power to the system. Now let's go to the connection, which is the part 3. Case F18 connect with accessories. This is an example of our F18 device. As you can see, you see that this device have a port for this place where my cursor is. You see that this is a port for fingerprint. So this is our F18, and then this is how the wire is run. This is the lock, right? This is the lock. Then we have the this door sensor. We have the exit button, and we have the alarm. So all of these things. So once you are getting this is what you have. I mean, this is, by the time you get this, you are supposed to get all of these accessories with it to make your door or your access control more efficient and effective. So after all of this thing is connected, you connect this thing to a switch, and then your switch is connected to a server. Most of access control devices have two relays, one for lock controlling and the other one for triggering the alarm. For example, on our SC300 mainboard, you will see on this mainboard we have one that that talks about the lock, that controls the lock, and then we have the other one. That controls the alarm. So these are all examples. Now, if verified successfully, the state of relay will be changed. There are two ways to connect to the lock. So let's look at the two ways to connect to the lock. The first way to connect to the lock is the normally closed mode. The normally closed mode, which is the NC and the COM port. COM means communication. COM ports are connected in verification that must have taken place. The NC and COM will be disconnected, will be in a disconnected status. The lock will open. This way is suitable for node lock, electric bolt lock, or magnetic lock. So what I'm saying here is that you can either use the electric bolt lock or the magnetic lock. So after verification, the normally close and the COM will be in a disconnected status, and then the lock will open. The lock here is either the magnetic lock, depending on the one that you are using, or the electric bolt lock will be opened, and then the door is open for access. Then another way is the normally opened mode. The normally open mode is after verification, right? The NO and COM will be in connected status. The lock will open. This way is suitable for cathode lock. Cathode lock. So these are example of the cathode lock. This is example of magnet. This is magnet lock, and this is electric bolt lock. These are our examples. Electromagnetic lock. So we have so lock connection. We are looking at the one that a type of connection where power is shared for normally open or normally closed connection diagram. So this is a pictorial diagram that tells us how this connection is done. Connection with lock sketch map. So if you are connecting using the NC lock connection, the machine and lock power by one adapter. So that means only one adapter is running the two. It's running both the machine and the lock. So this is how it is being done. This is your lock. Your lock here is connected to the lock NC, normally closed, and then which is the positive, and then the negative is connected to GND. And then this power here is connected to the negative is connected to GND, and then the positive is connected to the 12 volts. So NO connection, when it is also connected to one adapter. So we have our lock connected to the NO. Mind you, like I said, NO means normally open and NC means normally closed. And so if you are connecting with this thing, your connection is for NO, you look through for your lock normally open and your GND on your device. There's always this chart at the back of your device. So you connect all of these things together, running one cable for to be run with under one adapter. The same thing goes for your NC. Now, one connection, if you are doing connection with when you are doing connection when all of these devices are running independent power supply, either for normally open or normally closed. This is also the diagram. You will see here your lock, right? And then you will see here the DC, right? And then you see here your switch or your adapter. So this goes to GND, and then this goes to 12-volt power. And then this lock power goes to lock COM, and then look at this, the negative, it comes to the negative of your lock. The negative of your lock power will come to negative of your lock. And then the positive of your lock power will come to the lock normally open. This is for normally open anyway. You are doing normally open. And then if you are doing for normally closed, that is what you will see. So when we talk about normally open, we are saying that you want your door to be in a normally open state or to be in a normally closed state. Two devices control one lock. So we want to look at when two devices is controlling one lock. Now, only verify both of the two devices. Only verified both of the two devices within the door lock delay, the lock will open. This is a diagram talking about it, right? For this particular diagram, we're looking at our F18. So this is the power, this is the COM, and this is the NC. So this is the adapter, right? The power. And then this is this other F18. So one will be inside and the other one will be outdoor. And then this is what is initiating the lock. So now looking at this your lock is connected to your normally open, normally closed. Then the negative of this is connected to the negative of this power supply. The COM of this is connected to this, the positive of our power supply, and then the normally open of this is connected to the communication of this. Hence, that way communication is going to take place between these two locks to initiate lock and then to also initiate opening. So if one device controls two locks, this is a pictorial diagram of how this is to be achieved. So accessories. These are the accessories. We have our bell, we have our exit button, we have our alarm, and then we have our alarm power, and then we have the door sensor. How all of this is, how they are connected. So what does our door sensor mean? The door sensor is mounted on the door frame or door leaf to detect the status of the door. This is a picture of the door sensor. Now, what does this door sensor do? If the device the door sensor type is NO, the door open is in normal status. If closed, the door sensor will detect the abnormal. So this sensor, the basic work it tells is just to tell you the state of your door, right? So if you have your door on NC, and then you are seeing that this door is not, it's not working as as programmed, then you want to check the connection of your door sensor, right? And then also that will also help you to know what is wrong with your connection. So if the device is also set, if the device sensor type is set on MC, the door closed is in normal status. So when the door closed, that is the normal status. But if the door is open, the sensor will detect the abnormality. Alarm connection. Now let's look at our alarm connection. The alarm is a device. The alarm is a device that can send alarm signal at a particular connection. condition. Two necessary conditions for alarm working is on power supply and then switching signal. So this is connection, how connection is done on our power supply. So NC2 and COM normally open alarm, then NO2 and COM2 normally close alarm. And then what this alarm, okay. So what this alarm actually does for us is to initiate a ring or a sound if there is an abnormal please I hope you can hear me, because I'm sure this should not be from my hand.
Your audio is fine. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, sir. So looking at the black and white LCD screen, the alarm port, which we have the AL and then AL negative and AL positive. To connect your, so if you are wanting to connect your, what's it called, your access control device to it, this is just a basic simple way on the connectivity, right? And then the alarm port here, if your door is normally open, right, and someone tries to close the door, the alarm signifies, gives you a signal. And then if your door is normally closed and someone tries to open it, the alarm also gives signal that something is going on your access. So this is basically what the access alarm is meant for. So do you have any question before we conclude on our training? Any question? Mr. Ekundayo Bello, do you have a question? Mr. Jeremiah, Mr. Wasiu, any question?
Those that have questions should indicate by raising their hand, please. Anyone that has questions, kindly indicate by raising your hand. Use the raise hand features, and you'll be unmuted accordingly. For those that ask questions, indicate by raising their hand. And Mr. Godwin Oli, you have a question. Kindly go ahead. You've been unmuted. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Loud and clear.
Yes. Sorry, are you, this training, is it on radio frequency or infrared for the RF18 device?
Your question is not clear, sir. Can you clarify your question? What do you mean, sir?
Can you hear me?
I said your question is not clear, sir. Can you
hear me?
Rephrase the question? Yes, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yes, I was asking the F18 device that was on the screen there. The one you showed on the screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So what frequency is he using? For example, if you are using ID card number, or you are using fingerprint or facial recognition, what kind of is it infrared or radio frequency that the device is using? The reason being that if you register, say, 20 users on your device, I think that should be on the server of where that device is communicating to. So can you register a person directly on that F18? Or you have to do it from a central location?
If I get your question, sir, are you talking about the method of verification, or you're talking about the method of registration? Because these are two different things, right? You mentioned RFID or radio frequency. See, RFID simply means radio frequency identification. That's what it means, right? So verification, means of verification differs. For the F18 in question, F18 reads RFID cards using the radio frequency, right? So there is a radio frequency sensor inside the F18 and other devices that is able to allow you to read RFID cards, right? Likewise, the same thing. There are some of our devices, ZKTeco devices, that are able to read RFID, MiFi, and different frequency of card. When we are saying RFID and when we are saying MiFi, when we are saying proximity cards and desk fire, these are just different frequencies. We have with different measurements, like 125 megahertz, 35 megahertz, and different types. That is the frequency variation that you have in this card. So in terms of the frequency and the method of verification, devices have different method of verification. We have the RFID, we have devices that have RFID, MiFi, desk fire, that can verify different cards simultaneously. While we have devices that can verify just one method of verification, card method of verification. And most times, the RFID is the most popular method of verification, RFID cards. Okay, like for the multi-bio uses MiFi card, and most popular is the RFID cards. So that is just about the card or the method of verification. Then talking about the registration of users on the device. Note that when we are talking about access control, there are two terms we need to understand when we're talking about access control, which my colleague talked about, right? In access control, we have the controlled access control and the standalone access control. So for the control system you have is centrally controlled. So you have a control panel that drives everything. You have your F18 connected to a control panel. So the F18 becomes like a slave. You have your FRO 1200, which was shown there, connected. But when we are talking about standalone access control, we are talking about devices like F18 as a master. Then you are connecting an exit button, or you're connecting an FRO 1200 to that F18 or multi-bio or any other device that has the function to do to work as a standalone device. So for this method of access control, if you are doing a standalone access control, like if you're using the F18 or multi-bio or several of the numerous devices that we have that you can use as for standalone access control configuration accordingly, you can update users directly on the device. So what that means, especially for users or devices that have a GUI, that's graphic user interface, simply put a screen, or for some devices that don't have a graphic user interface, you have a master card and you see a command prompt for you to go to add new users using the first master card to swipe and entering hash or zero hash or 0 star, whatever different command prompt that you use to add users or delete users. So if you're using these standalone devices, you can add users directly to the device, and you can also add users through the software end. Okay, so when you add users directly to the device, automatically it synchronizes with the software that you're using to drive your solution. So for example, you have an F18 that is working with a ZKTeco Bio IVS. Once you add users on the F18 and you connect your F18 to a ZKTeco Bio Security or a ZKTeco Bio IVS, automatically all users on that F18 synchronizes with your software. Vis-a-vis when you're connecting users to a software, the software synchronizes with the device synchronizes with the software. There is a handshake between the software and the device, right? But the truth is that you can update users from any end, either from the software on your PC or from the device on a standalone. Does that answer your question, Mr. Godwin?
That's fine. That's fine.
And Mr. Mr. Olajide Oladapo is asking a question. If we have, Mr. Olajide, you have a question, please. He was asking a question. I saw a question from him. Okay, while we come to that, we have Mr. and Emedion Udoyete. Kindly proceed with your question, please.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, my question is, this access control, does it have anything like motion sensor or touch sensor? And secondly, does it have any storage device which we can regenerate the users for reference purposes? Because sometimes, like hotels now, the security footage can be used to preview whatever happened in the past. So the access control, I'm also asking if there is a way or if there is a storage to be recording, automatically recording the users. Thank you.
Okay, so the simple answer to that question is yes, right? So for every device of ZKTeco that you use for access control or time attendance, it means the device is smart enough to work as a database storage. So for most of our devices, they have a RAM. They have a ROM. Simply put, it means the device is a mini computer. Let me use that term for everyone to understand. So that device can process information on its own. The device has an operating system. Most of our devices that you see, they have a firmware, an operating system, which are Linux based. So that is why you can do a transaction on that device. You can store on that device. You can revisit that device later and you see all the transaction log of what has been done. So once you save a user, for example, details on it, you will upload the user details on the device, automatically it stays on that device database. There's a storage capacity. So if you check every devices that we have as ZKTeco for access control, you find out that it has a storage capacity. It will tell you that, for example, a ZKTeco F18 has a storage capacity of a card storage capacity of, I think, 3,000, while a fingerprint capacity of about 1,000. So what it simply means is that that device can store up to 1,000 fingerprints and can store up to 3,000 cards. So if I store my fingerprints and I use my name as Josh, every time I thumbprint on that device, it's going to show on the transaction record of that device that Josh thumbprinted. It picks the time I thumbprint. So once you connect that device to a software, those transactions that it has captured, that has been captured on that device, will now pull it from the transaction, the device middle table to the software, showing you the record, the time, what time did Josh pass through this door. So you can see a transaction log on your software and also on the device. So that's how our device works. It works as a mini computer. So you can store data on it and you can erase and you can rewrite. But also note that it has a capacity, maximum storage capacity that you can store for each user as per card, as per fingerprints of face. Does that answer your question, Mr. Doyete?
Okay, so okay, I hope that answered your question, sir.
Yes, it does. And I still want to add something else. Sorry, please.
No issue.
Okay, once we reach the maximum storage capacity, does it mean that the system will automatically delete the database, or it will be manually deleted, or what will be done?
That is not dependent on the administrator's discretion. Most of the device has a feature where you say, once it gets to maximum, start overwriting, right? it has a feature of to do that. You can also decide to purge the device. Purging means you're taking the data from it, you're storing to a different place, and you're decongesting and clearing it of old transaction. But if you don't want to, you can just overwrite. So if I'm saying overwrite, I mean the device has a transaction capacity of say 10,000. If I have 10,001, which means the first the transaction one is deleted, it goes off, and it starts from 2 to 10,001. So that's how it starts overwriting. If I want to overwrite, that's how the device works.
Meaning after 1,000, whatever is registered is overwritten. Just the first 1,000 is still stored.
It's a decision that the admin have to take, right? We have a function of overwriting. We have a function of saying don't overwrite. If you put the function if you select the option not to overwrite, that means once you've gotten to the maximum storage of 10,000, no new transaction can come in. You get a prompt every time you plug in that maximum transaction exceeded, so you can't do anything on it.
All right, noted. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, so Mr. Lajide, you were asking if we have a device that generates new access cards. I really want to understand the question, what you mean by new access cards. For our devices, like which was earlier mentioned or answered, that our devices actually use these cards, right? And then once you get our device, if you need cards for them, you can always get cards. You can always get cards. So, and then depending on the kind of card that the device uses. So, I hope this answers your question.
Generating new access card is actually not the work of the device to generate card. What the device actually does is to read cards in view of the access right that is granted to that card. So for example, if I get a blank RFID card now, let's assume I have a blank RFID card. I'm taking this, for example, as an RFID card, right? The minute I swipe this blank RFID card on a device that is RFID enabled, it's going to be read. You hear a beep sound, beep, showing that the RFID chip that is on this card is being read by this RFID device, detector, or whatever it's called on that device, right? But that card at that point in time has not been given an access right. So for me to give this card access right, I need to get the number that this card has and give that number a right. And say, okay, this number for this card belongs to Josh. So Josh has the access to do this, do this, do this. I can assign that on my personnel module of the software I'm using. Or I can manually do that on the personnel module of the standalone device. If you go to user, under the device, you go to user, add user. Under add user, you see where you can add fingerprints and where you can add card. So when you get to add card, you just flash the card or swipe the card across the device, and the card is able to register the device and say, okay, I want to add this card for this person, and you set the right accordingly. So that's what it means about issuing or adding a new card to a device. So the device does not issue new card. You can add new card to users on the device. I believe that answers your question. If not, you can clarify. Mr. Sedua Dogo, your hand is up. Kindly proceed with your question. Good morning. Mr. Sedua Dogo. Okay, seems it's not.
Okay, so if Mr. If the person is not around, so please can I get permission to record this for future references?
It's already been recorded,
and you can get it on our YouTube page, ZKTeco West Africa. After this training, you can go there and you get it there.
Okay, we have Mr. Oluwatosin Idowu.
Mr. Oluwatosin Idowu.
Yes, please. Kindly proceed with your question, Mr. Oluwatosin.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Please, I want to know the maybe, like maybe someone wants to enter my house now, you understand? And maybe, I know there are some access control that support that.
Okay, so Mr. Tosin, thank you so very much. Some of our devices also control remote control. I mean, they have features for remote control. So if you want to ask our devices that give remote control, we can always get it for you. They are run on what's it called, on software devices, right? So if you want to get some of them in your house, we have devices that runs on that, even our cameras and some other devices that we also
So there are devices that you can also use. Proface is one of it. Speedface is one of it. It has a video intercom button that you can use to prompt the administrator, prompt the person that someone is at the door. But note that for you to have this function working, or this feature, software dependent means there is a device accordingly. So it's not all the device that comes with this feature out of the box. So if you want to achieve this feature of remote access to your device or your log or whatever, and you want to have the video doorbell feature where remotely you know there's someone at the door, you let us discuss. They will recommend the device that will serve that purpose for you.
we are with you.
So what stuff?
We have
Okay,
several
so
software that we use for our devices. Emmanuel, go ahead, please.
okay, we have our software, several software that we use for our devices. We have ZSmart, we have Bowtime Cloud, we have Bowtime 8.0, depending on what you want to, what you want to achieve, either for your time and attendance or access control. We have Bow CV security, we have Bow Access IVS, depending on whatever you want to do. So we have softwares that, that assist or that works with our products.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So someone is asking if our hotel lock have, if we have the type of hotel lock that uses card that I mentioned, only fingerprint type. Like my colleague mentioned that hotel lock is a different solution entirely. However, we have hotel lock that uses card, that are card enabled. So if you come around into our, to our head office here, you can always walk around to see some of these devices that are available.
Hello, Mr. Timothy. Is that you have a question, please? If he is signed out, in this session.
Mr. Timothy, we didn't get you. What did you say? Please, you are muted.
He has unmuted, but we're not hearing him. I don't think he has a question, because I saw his hand as a comment. I thought he was raising his hand. Mr. Godwin, you have the floor, please.
We can't hear you, please.
Good afternoon once again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
All right, let me ask two questions, but the first, which is more important, in terms of emergency, let's assume I have this organization where I work before, it's quite large, you have maybe board of directors inside, and there's this access control on the door. and you have an emergency, let's say fire incident, and maybe these board of directors are inside, and there is fire in, let's say, wing A, 4th floor. How do you open or give command for that particular door to open? Because normally you can't just break the door. That is number one. Then secondly, what do you do if a card if a card authenticate on the door, say device A authenticate, but it's not reflecting on the database? Did you get my question?
I think that second question.
How do you mean database? Can you clarify what
all right, let me ask again. If you register using a radio frequency card that has a chip directly on the door, I register a user directly on the door, and I go back to my server.
Sorry, sir. When you mean on the door, you mean on the device, please. Let's
yes, on the device.
What kind of device? Is it a device that can a registered user? Because you need to understand.
Yeah,
that.
they want that have user interface. The one that have a kind of 3-inch screen that have register, authentication, and the rest of all those kind of features. Okay. It's attached beside the door. So I register a staff, say a new staff, directly on that device. And I go back to the database. I have to see that registered user from a pool of registered users, right? And that user doesn't appear. What do you do? Well, the first is much more. The first question is far more important.
Let's start with the most recent question you asked. What do you do? Because if it's not appearing, it means there is possibly a fault with your reader or fault with the card. Because there's no way a reader is a device will successfully read a person and the person is not on the user's log, right? Because on the user's log, you see all the users that been registered on that device. You see the ones that you've given the access right to use fingerprint, the ones you've given access right to use card. So if you're not seeing a card, which means you need to check. You need to check, is the card actually the right model of card that should be used on that device? Because sometimes some people will use a MiFi card for a RFID device and they expect it to work, understanding that they are using two different mode of two different kind of frequency of readers in this case, right? So if you're not seeing the user that you registered on a device, means it has not been registered. It's either perhaps the maximum number of you've exceeded the number of users, or you've got to your capacity, your threshold, or the card you're using, or you're not doing something right, or maybe perhaps rare cases, it might also be a firmware issue that needs to be upgraded. Rare cases. So these are the possible scenarios. But you need to first of all check to be sure that there's either no issue with your card, or you've not made a mistake while trying to register the user. Then on the first question you ask, in the event of fire, how do you let it go out? So I always tell people, which as ZKTeco we are very particular about. As a matter of fact, part of the reason we are having this training is because we want to sensitize people. We want them to know the basic SOPs when it comes to installation of access control time attendance. So international standards of access control deployments. For every access control you deploy, whether it's standing, whether control, you are supposed to have an exit button and an emergency relay. Even in your F18, F19, F22, there is a relay for emergency exit button or different relay that you can use to achieve in events of fire. There is a break glass. There is an accessory that is called a break glass. So a break glass is more like, most time when you go to a facility, you see a glass, they say, mostly in red, you will see the inscription, in case of fire, can you break this glass? When you break that glass and you push that button, what it simply does is it triggers a command that allow the relay to open. Your door open automatically in the event of fire. That is what that break glass accessory is for, and it is meant to be connected to your standalone or your control panel, depending on the method of communication configuration you adopt. So that break glass function, that break glass accessory is meant to connect to that break glass relay in your device. So in event of fire, you see the break glass clearly marked and installed close to the door. So you hit it and it de-energizes your lock and keeps the door open in event of fire. Does that answer your question, Mr. Godwin?
Mr. Godwin.
Yeah, Mr. Godwin says it's good.
All right.
Yes, just give a thumb up. Yeah, it's good.
Right. Okay, so Mr. Timothy, thanks for having you around. Please, quickly, what's your question?
Kindly unmute. Your mic is not
muted. We can't hear you.
Your mic. Unmute. We are unmuted. You're not on mute. You are still muted.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We can hear you.
Good morning, everyone. Nice job.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much, Tati.
Yeah. Please, I want to know, a client asked me for this same F18 that they want to do away with the operating system on the device and want to use it for another device, another operating system that they design. Is it possible? Because I told him I'm going to get back to him.
So you want to, if I get it correct, you don't want to use the correct default operating system in F18. You want to side load your own operating system, right?
That was what the client said. Yes.
Yeah, the answer is a yes or a no. A yes and a no.
How?
Yes, it's possible, but for you to be able to do that, you need to get our SDK and pay for a patent license, because what you're simply saying is that you want to run your own software or your own program on our device. It's ZKTeco's product. It's somebody's sweat, right? It's somebody's patent. So it's not something you can just come and say, yes. Mr. Timothy, imagine you take your time to develop a product and somebody is just taking it from the market and installing his software on it to run on it, and it's not acknowledging you, right? So it's going to be a major problem. So for that, there are some technicalities involved in it. So it's possible, but on that thing too, is for you to do that. It's not something that you can just say, I want to buy 2 F18, I want to buy 10 F18, and we'll do that for you. There's an MOQ. There's an MOQ policy that comes with that for customization.
Okay.
So in this case, if you want to do such customization that you're requesting, the minimum order quantity of the device you are buying from ZKTeco must be more than at least 100 units.
600.
100 units. 100 units of devices. An average.
Okay.
That's the MOQ. Before you can say, okay, yes, I want to side load my device. I want ZKTeco to do. I want to white label these products to become my own so that I can install. Yes, but it's possible. So that's the yes part. Then the no part, because if you're buying 1, 2, anything less than the MOQ, there's nothing you can do. You have to use the current operating system, which is the Linux.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
and
you.
Also important to chip in to note there are some of our devices that are Android based, depending on what you want to do. So it depends. So we can go off session and discuss more on that. So you can use this information to let the customer know, so we can discuss further. You can engage me on that, Mr. Timothy.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much. We appreciate every one of us for finding time to join our training today. And we also look forward to, see you around again in our subsequent training.
Sorry, Emmanuel, we still have some hand. Can we really just take those questions, if possible, for a round of maybe 5 minutes? Mr. Right. Wasiu Sanusi, Oluwatosi, your hand is up, but we've taken your question. Let's be fair to others too, right? So, Mr. Wasiu Sanusi, you have the floor, please. Mr. Wasiu.
Yeah. Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, please. Quick one.
Yeah, thank you for a nice presentation. I just want to ask how rugged is your device, durability? Does it withstand IP65 standard? Because some of the devices we might want to install it at the outside of the building. So how rugged is it? Can we withstand?
IP68, IK04 devices, Vanderproof and all that. So to answer your question simply, yes, we have several devices that are IP rated up to IP68, like the Profis and the like. So of course, end devices, they are high-end devices, they can withstand water up to a certain level, sun, rain, and other elements. So yes, we have different devices, but it's not all the devices that are IP60 that can withstand outdoor use. So the level of Mr. Elvis Bagari, please kindly proceed with your question, Mr. Elvis.
Yeah, good afternoon. Whatever fire alarm, like when there's fire, the door automatically open itself. And if you have any controller that has that interface that can do that, and if yes, do you have a particular brand that you work with on that? That's number one. Then number two, your access control software, the license, are they monetized or they are free? Or do you have any for the license? That's my question.
Perpetual, I think they are one of most of them. Except for a few that are you pay recurring. So that's about the licensing, right? So you pay, I think it was mostly one of for the license. Then for the fire alarm you're talking about. So fire alarm integration is two-way. The control panel or the device and the software base. So you can add your fire alarm to a controller like the InBio. There's a relay for you to add your fire alarm there. And you can also set your parameters on how your fire alarm work. In event of fire, what happens? Which door opens? Which door remain closed? You can also set that on your software end. So we have different majority of third-party fire alarm would work with our controller, the InBios and the like, and then our software. If you're strictly interested in fire alarm integration, then the software you are advised to use will be ZKTeco Security ISP. It has a very robust fire alarm dashboard that you can do several integration with different controllers and even add third-party controllers, fire alarm controllers to the software, or to use ZKTeco InBio controllers for your integration accordingly. So that's it on the fire alarm. So if you're using ISP, you can integrate third-party fire alarm as well as using ZKTeco InBio. There is in the InBio 162, 63, there is a fire alarm point, a relay point where you can integrate your third-party alarm system to achieve that. So that is it on the fire alarm. I believe that answers your question, Mr. Elvis.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So, believing that that's all our question, I think that will be all for today. I want to thank you for your time. And then, like my colleague mentioned, for further materials on ZKTeco product and solution, please do well to visit our social media handles on YouTube, is ZKTeco West Africa, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We are very social when it comes to social media and different pages. Especially on YouTube, we have different medias available at your disposal. Most times, the truth is that the reason why we usually have this session is just for refresh, and it's a refresher session. Most of the question you ask now, you find that you have some short videos on this solution on our YouTube channel. So please do well to be conversant and revisit our ZKTeco YouTube page. You have several videos that will be very helpful to you when you are working with ZKTeco product and solution. And in a fortnight, we're going to be having another session. So please do well to avail yourself to be available for the session that will happen in 2 weeks' time, as we hope to create the knowledge base and bridge the knowledge gap as it concerns ZKTeco product and solution. And if you have any issues dealing with ZKTeco product and solution, please, you note that you want to reach out to us, our support, but it's important to also note that you have several resources at your disposal from our website, which is www.zkteco-wa.com. Under the website, you have different products, and under the product catalog, you have the down part, you see under the download section, you have installation manuals and data sheets that you can use for your download. Most times, we discovered that most of the questions and most of the support requests we get are things that if we take our time to go through our installation manual and data sheet, we would get this stuff sorted. So we want to encourage and employ all users and installers and product consumers to please do well to visit our website, ZKTeco.com for the global, or ZKTeco-wa.com for the local, and download product data sheet and installation manual. It will help you make your work easy for you as an installer. And if you have other issues on support, please do well to reach out to us on our support channel on our website. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate you for this session. Mr. Emmanuel, over to you, please.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate your presence